This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
Hi, my name is Igor Kheifets, and this is the List Building Lifestyle, the only podcast which delivers cutting-edge conversion strategies from the online trenches straight to your earbuds. Download the transcript of today's episode and all future episodes at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. I also invite you to grab a free copy of the Wealthy List Builder Survival Guide at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com/survival. And now, once again, it's time to claim your list building lifestyle.
Welcome back to another edition of List Building Lifestyle. Here is your host, Mr. Igor Kheifets.
Hey, Jonathan, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing awesome, man. You sound good. You sound strong today.
Oh yeah, I'm like an ox. You know, my daughter has just discovered Kung Fu Panda 3, and there's this ox, this evil ox walking around with a couple of blades and swinging them. And she's like, whenever he comes on screen, she's like, "Oh, look, the evil bull, the evil bull." So I kind of sound like that dude. Only I'm not evil. I'm actually furry like a pussycat.
Mr. Pussycat, what do you have in store for us today?
Well, Jonathan, you know how there's no shortage of influence education anymore. I mean, right now, with the tip of a finger, you can access quite literally like a gazillion different sources of information as far as how to influence somebody to buy something from you or to do something you want them to do. There's hundreds of books on Amazon. There's thousands of online courses. There's dozens of seminars and boot camps. So no shortage of education. However, all these education sources, they all talk about instant rapport building, split-second influence and so on, but nobody talks about one of the most essential persuasion elements of them all, which is the passage of time.
Nice. So we can't just build 1 second rapport?
Well, no, I'm sorry, you can't. Although, Jonathan, let's be honest, some experts will tell you, of course you can. I mean, all you have to do is just get your tonality right and, make sure your body language is on point. But let's be honest. How many times did you see somebody for the first time and 10 seconds later you threw yourself into their arms or gave them $10,000 or something? Doesn't happen quite often, right? There needs to be a time buffer, between them meeting you or first finding out about you and them giving you money or doing something you asked them to do. If we're talking about a major commitment. Like the other day, I got an email from a potential client who wants to apply for coaching. And he says, "Igor, I've been listening to your podcast for the last couple of months, and I've also heard about you, before that. And now I'm ready to move out of my, I think it was trading business, and, kind of venture into online marketing. So I wanted to see what kind of coaching programs you've got." Well, let's be honest. It took him a while. And this guy sounds like he's got money. So he's not supposed to be timid and scared and frustrated and overprotective of his, financial capital or whatever. But, it took him a while, listening, researching, investigating, talking about me with other people before he felt comfortable to just reach out. He didn't even buy anything yet. He just reached out to ask what I got on sale.
Have you ever read Neil Strauss, The Game?
Yes, I actually read it about 6 months ago.
Oh, you know what it reminds me of, what you're saying, the passage of time. One of their techniques is to move the girls from location to location to speed up the passage of time. And that's what I was just thinking about. How can we move people around to make time move faster?
Well, actually, there is a trick. And I wasn't planning on, revealing it or anything, but
My bad.
yeah, now I kind of have to. So, what you're referring to, just to make sure our audience is aware of what we're talking about. What you're talking about is the pickup artist strategy to move a girl from one bar or venue into another one and then into another one, which then makes it seem like you spent a lot of time together, like you've shared a bunch of experiences together, puts you guys closer to each other emotionally. The
Yes.
same thing could be achieved online if you, quote unquote, attack, or hit your prospect through different media, which is, of course, one of the greatest things about this podcast is I can talk about how we, practice what we preach. So if you're following me around, you're listening to my podcast, you're getting my emails, you're watching my videos, you're probably following me on Facebook, that's at least 4 different media where I'm engaging you. And that is contributing to the idea that we are now getting closer and closer because I'm everywhere. I'm a part of your life.
Nice. I didn't
Yes.
mean to sidetrack you, but dude, there's such an opportunity there.
So when it comes to influence, passage of time in any one of its forms, either the classic form of actually letting time pass or maybe speeding up the time a bit through the engagement of, through different media, either way, it is absolutely critical, which is why you should not be frustrated if you ran a solo or a Facebook ad or promotion of some sort and they did not buy from you right away. And that is one of the most common issues I see out there right now. People are so frustrated. I've seen people jump systems, and I'm serious, Jonathan. So somebody invests like 10 grand into a marketing program, runs a couple of promotions, doesn't make instant sales, and immediately proceeds to invest into a different high ticket program, believing that this other program isn't good enough because it didn't produce sales. So they move into another one, spend more money, hoping that they will. And of course, Jonathan, never happens. So they keep investing, and this can go on for years until they just run out of money and quit the business.
Yeah, I've seen that. I might have played that part a couple times in my life.
Yeah, I guess it's one of the, subversions of the shiny object syndrome, or the way, we call this the shiny object syndrome, but that's what people do. But they ignore this element, the passage of time, which is absolutely required. I mean, think about relationships. You're a married man, I'm a married man. It took me 3 years to propose to my wife. If I proposed on the second date, guess what would happen? I would get probably a kick in the balls or something, and she would go away because I'd be, she'd be like, "Oh my God, this guy's so weird. I don't want to deal with him anymore."
Yeah.
It took me, Jonathan, and I'm willing to admit it. Okay, I'm willing to stay this out in the public. It took me 2 weeks to get her to agree to have sex with me.
2 weeks.
And I was good, man. I was good. I was handsome. I was well spoken. I dressed well, and she was into me. You could see that. We were always holding hands and everything. But it took me 2 weeks to have sex with my wife. 2 weeks is it's a fair amount of time for somebody who's 19 years old. So it just again tells you that, hey, engaging the prospect is one thing. Starting the relationship with the prospect is one thing. But damn it, converting them is a whole other animal. And you have to allow the passage of time to build the necessary trust for them to agree to buy from you.
No kidding, man. That's part of our society's problem, isn't it? We have this microwave, instant gratification, entitled society, and when you have to actually put in some work and wait for a return on your investment, most people just aren't in that mindset. I wonder why.
Well, McDonald's? Can we blame McDonald's?
Maybe.
Yeah, it's the fast food society, and everything's instant. The internet definitely contributed to that. And I see a lot of people kind of treat offline businesses differently than they do online businesses. If someone starts an offline business like a shop or anything, they're really patient. They can go for 6 months not making any money, and it'd be like, okay, just takes time to build. I need to build my customer base, etc. But when it comes to the online business, I see a lot of people get in saying, hey, I need to make money really, really, really fast. That's why I'm here. Yeah, but why is this supposed to be any different? I don't understand. Just because you have a larger pool to fish in, well, guess what? Then the competition is larger as well. And you can't really escape that. So while the territory you're hunting on is pretty vast, but you also got more hunters. So, the marketplace condition is pretty much the same.
That is interesting, right? I was talking to someone who was a business coach, and then she jumped to the online business and she threw away everything that she knew about business coaching and started doing stupid online tactics. And 6 months into it, she realized that, oh crap, I'm doing everything wrong. I wonder, what is it? What is it? You said that it's a bigger pool. Is there anything else that makes people think that they can make money in an instant online? Because it's really not that way. I mean, you said it took you, what, 2 years?
Yeah, 3.5 years. Took me 3.5 years to make my first decent amount of money. And why do people treat it like that? I don't know. I honestly don't know, man. But I guess it's just the nature of the world we live in. It's the zeitgeist. You know what I mean? We want it fast. We want it downloadable. We want it instantly available on our smartphones. I guess I can understand that, but we have to keep in mind that the way business works hasn't really changed. much. You still got to get a customer. You got to convince them. You got to solve their problem. You got to charge them money. I mean, all that stuff is pretty much the same as it was 20, 30, 40 years ago. The media changed, sure. The ability to reach a wider market changed, absolutely. The payment methods changed a little bit. Yeah, sure. There's a couple of, stores and businesses that revolutionized a certain aspect of the business, like Amazon, for instance, or eBay. Yeah, absolutely. But the foundation, the basics never change. And people forget about that. They just do. That's just how people are, which is why I want this podcast to serve as a constant reminder to not fall for all these, micro traps, which not only, create false expectations, but also keep you back from success for years. The only reason I'm mentioning all this stuff is because I myself am guilty of making all these mistakes. So I know exactly how they hold you back.
I think that you touched on a key point there. Like for me, when I left electrical work and got into real estate, I didn't know anything about business. So I had to figure a lot of things out by trial and error, more error than anything else. But maybe that's one of the things, right? Because people jump online, they don't know anything about business. They're trying to leave their job. They're trying to get more security, and they really don't know what the hell they're doing. And so it takes them even longer to actually get the results they're looking for.
Well, not only they don't know anything about business and they don't see this as a business, which is a problem in and of itself, but they also don't know anything about persuasion. They don't know anything about influence. They don't know anything about sales or marketing. And they refuse to see those as a necessary skill required to succeed in this field. They honestly believe that the technology alone is enough to make them money. And that is one of the largest issues we're facing today in the home-based business space. Technology is not the solution. Technology is a tool which allows you to reach your clients. That is all. It is still up to you to persuade and convince the client that you are their best choice when it comes to investing to solve a problem of some sort.
So a couple things. You can drop the mic after saying technology is not the solution, because I believe that's one of the big problems right now, because I actually wrote about that in my newsletter. You'll see it when it comes to you. But I was writing about funnel suck and funnel sucking time out of your day, sucking money out of your wallet, because people are obsessed with this funnel idea, this funnel software, funnel this, funnel that, funnel experts, and they don't know anything about basic salesmanship. And for some reason, that's something that nobody really talks about. And I'm wondering what you think it is that people think sell is a 4-letter word, so nobody wants to talk about it. It's dirty. But if you know how to sell, the technology really doesn't matter.
Well, it's simply because they don't understand what that really means. There's a great book which we recommended on the 7 Books That'll Make You Millions episode, where we spoke about, Harry Brown's The Secret of Selling Anything. And I believe anyone who feels queasy or weird about selling and doesn't know how to do that should read that book, because they'll discover that selling is not the used car salesman stuff. Selling is not the bad thing you do, to ram a nasty product down someone's throat. Selling is actually a good thing. Selling is something you actually do on a daily basis. You don't even realize it. And selling is a necessity in your business that can define whether or not you're going to be in business next year.
It's one of those things that is kind of underrated. And like you said, it's heavily misunderstood, because I'd love your opinion on it, but for me, selling is finding out what your market's problem is and seeing if there's a way to tie that problem to your solution. So that's actually you solving problems. That's what selling is to me.
Yeah, you could say that for sure. I mean, you will get paid to the extent that you're able to solve problems for your marketplace, and that's definitely it. I guess I'm referring to selling as in the process of communication between you and the prospect when you explain to the prospect how your solution is going to solve their problem, right? The actual need to solve someone's problem should precede the sales conversation, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Makes perfect sense. So I'm over here hijacking your show. My apologies. I get hot about selling. So what other thoughts do you have for the list builders?
Well, let's do a quick refresher, right? We spoke about the there is no shortage of information and influence, but most of it lacks one critical element, the passage of time. So everybody looks for the instant sale when in reality, instant sale is really unlikely to happen unless the prospect has been following you around for a while before, reaching your sales pitch, if you will. So this is not to say that you should now wait for 2 years before someone commits to you, but this is to say that you must install the element of passage of time into your marketing strategically. You must make it happen because this way you'll have much higher control of your sales process.
So, Igor, what would you say, or is there actually a reasonable amount of time where you say, all right, so these people came in here and they bought here? Do you have an idea of what that should look like, or should you just keep people on your list forever? How do you do it?
Well, that's the kind of thing you got to let the person decide. So some people will take 8 months, some people will take 8 days, some people will take 8 weeks. It really depends on where they are in their life and how pressing the issue they're trying to solve is. So with that in mind, you just got to let people take their time. That's all. And the best way to do it is to detach yourself from the outcome. Like when you market, don't think of the sale. Market with the purpose of building rapport and establishing trust, right? Not so much closing. Closing is something you do once the prospect is already sold on you. Until then, your job is to build rapport. And if you market from that point, from that perspective, you will not be obsessed with the when's the sales going to come from, because that creates neediness. And neediness, as we know, repels the prospect.
Smart. And so a little more technical question for you. When people come into your funnel, is there a time frame in which if they don't buy, you'll delete them, like 2 years into being in your database, you delete them, or do you just leave everybody on the list forever till they either buy or get off themselves?
Yeah, well, let's be honest. If they haven't opened a single email of mine in the last 6 months, then there's no point keeping them on the list simply because they're either not receiving the emails or maybe they're not interested anymore in me or the product or both. So I'm definitely deleting them. But if they keep reading, I'm definitely keeping them. And I let them take as much time as they need because obviously they're getting some sort of value out of this communication. So whatever that is, I'll let them have it.
Nice. That was a good little tip. So what do you have coming up for us next time?
Well, next time I'm interviewing a man who I've known for years who might be the only person I know who actually makes money in his sleep. The kind of thing that everybody wants to sell you on, make money in your sleep, make money on vacation. This guy actually does. And he lives the 2-hour per day work week, 5 days a week. That's how much he works. You cannot get him to do anything else. 2 hours per week, completely automated business, ridiculous profits considering the amount of time he puts in. And it's like he's like the nicest guy in the world who hates hype or any of that stuff. So I look forward to sharing his wisdom and model with the list builders.
All right, looking forward to that. So that's a wrap for another List Building Lifestyle. Thank you, Igor. Thank you, List Builders. We'll be back with you next time.
Thank you for listening to the List Building Lifestyle. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes or Google Play to never miss an episode. Because who knows, just one conversion tactic we share on the show might double your list and double your business. Download the transcript of today's episode and all future episodes at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. And don't forget to claim your complimentary copy of the Wealthy List Builder Survival Guide at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com/survival. This is Igor Kheifets, and until next time we talk, have a good one.
This is the podcastfactory.com.